everyone, welcome back to another episode at Smithsdale Farm. In this video we're going to be building the next part of the interior of our little cabin, which is the kitchen. So as well as loads and loads of progress on the cabin build in this video to show you, we also have a really exciting announcement coming up later on in the video, so keep watching for that. If you're new to our channel or you have missed the progress so far, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel where it takes you right from the start all the way through to the end of the cabin build series of where we've got up to so far. So you can go and watch that one as a playlist. Or if you want to look at this whole journey of how we bought this property, how we found this property in Spain, we've got loads and loads of videos going kind of back over the last couple of years as well. So you can go back into the archives and check out some of those as well. But for now, let's get going on the kitchen.
So we've got most of the wood cut now for the kitchen. We've done some lap joints, some not. Basically because we're less worried, because we're not going to be standing on it, so we're less worried about the weight and how strong it needs to be. We decided to connect the little seat that will be here with the rest of the kitchen, and to make that connection we've got two long pieces that will have the lap joints. So they will hold it all together and hopefully stop any kind of rocking in any direction. We'll probably screw the back side on to the wall today, and then I think I've got 7 little pieces to cut tomorrow and then put it together, see how that goes. So yeah, end of the day, very happy. Now it's time for a shower and a bean burrito. And also the obligatory beer at the end of the day.
Frozen to the bone, you could always find your way back home to your little shelter from the storm. to the bone. You can always find your way back home to a little shelter from the storm. And if you're feeling roughed up by the weather, you can always wear your cold sweater. It's been waiting here all this time. When the winter chill freezes to the bone, you can always find your way back home to a little shelter from the storm. And if you're feeling roughed up by the weather, you can always wear your cold sweater. It's been waiting here all this time.
So we've come back to a little bit of a disaster. The cork's popped off, but it's just this plywood underneath. I don't know if you can see that, how much it's moving. So what we're seeing is actually we've got a really bad adherence to the surface. The bits that are all smooth of where it's stuck, and then where you've got the lines, this is like the trowel mark on the back where we applied the adhesive on the back. And if you look at that as a whole panel, actually there was only just this corner, maybe a few spots there and there that were holding it on. So it's not too surprising it's popped off because it wasn't on properly. And then like if you look behind this one, you can just see lines basically where it's touching it. But then the corner where it is stuck, it's really stuck. So it seems to be working if it's actually stuck on properly. We're trying to decide whether we need to replace all these boards first to try and remove some flex, or just to give it another coat of lime first. But the problem with adding the lime is we're adding more water between the cork and the MDF, and then the MDF is terrible when it's in contact with water, so it might make it worse. Or not worse. Might not work with after the second attempt. So you can see here where a piece is glued properly, and then a bit where it's just not even touched at all. We've got a screw that's popped out, and this is just not attached to the wall at all. And it's probably between that and then the pieces up there that are not flat and coming out. That's probably the reason for it. But you can see how strong it is when it actually sticks to it. So we've decided to go for a bit of a repair job first, and then if that doesn't work, we'll then go and, I don't know, buy some plywood or something. I think the problem has come down to this MDF, which is obviously my favourite material, but it was warping a lot, so some bits were sticking out, some bits were going inwards. We've actually tried to sort that out a little bit on the other side, so you can see some points where we've braced it on the other side. And then some places where we hadn't, because I assume at the time it wasn't that bad. And then we've also had boards that have just popped off the frame as well. So boards that have popped off, I've just screwed several screws now down those points. And then anywhere that it looks like there was any kind of flex between two boards, we've just put a little metal strap and some screws in to hold it. And everything's a bit more flush now. You can still see there's a bit of movement there, which is not ideal. But again, you can see like points where it's stuck and points where it hasn't stuck. Like the lines are just where the glue was touching and not sticking. But then when points where it has stuck, it's really difficult to get off. And he's rather pulling little holes in the back of the boards rather than coming off as a piece. So we've got that in place tonight. We may make a mix tonight, or we might just do it in the morning when we're fresh, because we've just driven down. And then there's some pieces on the sides where this has fallen off. It's kind of nudged the sides off a bit, and I think with those I'm just going to whack some glue down the back, no nails or whatever. But I think it's the sun. The sun is the most intense on this part of the wall. So we'll see how that works out, because the other sides they're looking okay. There's one or two corners that seem to be coming off, but again, we've put a wet adhesive on an MDF board, which is something we'd not really thought about at the time. Yeah, living and learning.
It's probably worth mentioning that this MDF that we bought is a water resistant MDF. Obviously we didn't just buy normal MDF because that's super absorbent. We did buy one that was water resistant, but obviously water resistant and waterproof are two entirely different things. And yeah, we didn't think that it was going to be this much of a problem. But clearly it is. But it seems to be, I don't know, a combination of the fact that the water is kind of absorbing into the board, but also then the fact that this side is in full sun almost all day. I don't know if that's just kind of having a further kind of effect and drying it out even further, and then meaning that the board kind of pops off. I don't know, but it seems to be much better on some of the other sides. So we'll do a little fix-it job. We'll see how it is. It's just the way life goes sometimes. Got to deal with it. Some days this cabin build really seems to be so much more difficult and challenging than others. Today you can probably hear in the background Danny started angle grinding some of the mortar off the walls, where we're going to have to try and reapply the cork panels that are being blown off. The wind is just so strong today. Last night was really difficult to sleep. It was really, really windy, and when we looked at the forecast this morning, it says that the kind of general wind is about 41 kilometres an hour as an average, which is a gale-force 6. And the gusts are up to 87 kilometres an hour, which is a gale-force 9. So it's so strong up here, you can really, really feel it. I think it's where the wind kind of comes up through the valley and comes up past all the bancals, and it just gains speed, and you can feel it really kind of coming up against the cabin. I mean, we have a windy piece of land, but today particularly is really, really bad. There's a really strong weather warning, and it's just making everything more difficult. You know, just cutting a piece of wood is more difficult because the wind is blowing things all over the place, or, you know, we can see that the cork panels are being damaged and kind of being blown off. If one comes loose, they're kind of becoming loose and then blowing off the others. And yeah, I think today is trialing us a little bit, but we're going to keep going. We're going to do what we can, try and finish a bit more of the kitchen and see what we can do about these panels. Just got to keep going, that's all we can do.
Having done a little bit more research it was like a renewable building materials webinar on YouTube. We'll put the link in the description. And they gave examples of different houses that had been cork clad. And what I did realise was that most of the cork clad houses that had used the lime mortar were actually cladding onto masonry or brickwork or stonework, like something solid. And then the ones that were cladding onto wood were actually screwing in with a little bit of adhesive. So what we're going to look at doing is gluing and screwing the cork panels on, like we saw on that webinar. And as you've guessed, we're not a how-to channel. We're just bumbling along, trying to do the best we can with the research and knowledge we had at the time. So learning, and hopefully this screw fix will mend all our problems and we'll have no more flying panels.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am not a raincoat here to keep you warm. Then go back in the closet after the storm. I'm not a match simply waiting to burn. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end. your impression of a city. Wish you loved more than everything you gave for it.
Luckily, we had one pack of this cork left that we didn't use when we did the first application of all of the cork onto the outside. So some of the panels, when they came off or when we were trying to take them off because they were loose, they broke. A couple of them broke kind of quite cleanly and we were able to like sandwich them back together, but a few of them just smashed into too many pieces, or a few kind of pieces broke off that weren't easy to put back together. So luckily we just had enough to be able to do this section here, and you can see the difference between them of when we first put them on compared to now. So they've weathered really nicely. They go to this really kind of nice, almost like a silvery kind of shine to them, which looks really lovely. So these ones will just catch up over time, and will kind of blend in with the others. So we're not too bothered about the fact that it's a bit mismatched for now. Give it a couple of months and it'll look exactly the same.
All I am is a friend, your friend to the end. All I am is a friend, your friend to the end. All I am is a friend, your friend to the end.
So that was a weekend's work we weren't expecting to be doing. We were expecting to be getting on with the kitchen, but I'm very happy with how it's looking, and we've kind of learned how to do it again. If anything else happens or comes off, we'll use the same method to stick it on, and let's see how these fare over the next few months with the heat of the summer. Hopefully they stay on much longer, and we get a good few years out of them like we were expecting to.
We're back at the kitchen build after a couple of weeks away. We had some family visiting and went away on holiday and things, so we haven't been here for a couple of weeks. But we're back now and working on the rest of the kitchen build. We're in the process of putting in the sink section, and whilst we're just waiting for some of those pieces to dry because we're putting a protective coat onto them, we're going to start on the section here, which is for the cooker. So what we're going to do is lower it down and include a little extra shelf across here, and that's so that we can put the little kind of stove, the cooker with the two hobs into this section, but then we can still put the tabletop on top. And then that means that we've got loads of space if we're not actually using the stove and we're not cooking something, if we're just preparing like salads or breakfast or things like that, we can just kind of have this tabletop and have loads of space to be able to prepare things. And then when we're cooking, we can just take this off and then the cooker will be in this section underneath. As we're heading back to Barcelona today, it's a good day for us to do some of the painting and sealing, because then we're not actually sleeping in those fumes for the night. So I've cleared everything off the bed top, and I'm just going to kind of prep this area so that I can start painting a couple of these walls. Danny's just sanding down the kitchen tops because they need another layer of the protector, and then we're probably going to start with some of the protector on this platform as well. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, so yeah, the sooner we can get that done the better, because when Paco jumps up here he leaves lots of little paw prints, so it'd be better for that to be protected so we can wipe it down.
So these are just having their third coat of finish on these now. We went for a marine paint because we thought it would be the most, resistant to water and things like that, and then we've got a good hard worktop surface that should work for us for some time, and without having to redo it. I mean, normally with the wood you have to redo it in a while anyway, but hopefully with marine paint or varnish we will have to do it less. So yeah, one more coat and then we're done. So in the end I brought it inside. It was a bit windy outside and it was getting little bits of dust on the final coat, which we can sand down again if we need to. But I'd rather come inside where it's less wind and just put the last coat on and hopefully get nothing stuck to it. This is what we're using, maritime marine varnish. So hopefully it should last a long time.
So earlier in the video, I told you that we had a really, really exciting announcement to make. And this is something that's been kind of happening in the background for quite a few months now. And that's one of the reasons that this particular video spans over probably about 2 months worth of work. I have been working on adding a new addition to our farm, something that we haven't shown you any of the progress so far. And I always thought that the first thing that we were going to get for the farm would be chickens. Obviously after Paco, he was the first after we bought it. But it turns out it's not going to be chickens. It's going to be something else. So I'm about 7 months pregnant, and this is our first child. We're really, really excited about having a new baby in the family, but obviously that has changed our plans quite a lot. So we're not going to be moving to the farm as quickly as we thought, but we do have some kind of bigger plans in the making, which we hope to be able to share with you really, really soon. But yeah, big changes coming at Smithsdale Farm. Some of you may have noticed already that I've been progressively getting a little bit bigger in the background of these clips, and now we can get back to the rest of the kitchen build and show you how the rest of that progresses. I've been lucky enough to have a very good pregnancy so far, touch wood, and so we've been able to come down, get some work done, keep progressing with the build. But I have to say, as time goes on, things are getting a little bit more difficult. I'm a lot more fatigued now in the 3rd trimester. And so this may be the last time that we're down here for a little while, but hopefully we'll not be away for too long. And next time we come down, we'll have an extra little human in tow. I thought I'd just give you a little update on the cork panels. It's been a couple of weeks since we fixed these when we re-adhered them with some glue and screws. They seem to be doing okay. No more casualties yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that might have fixed it. You can see where some of them are starting to kind of silver off. There is some difference still between the old panels and the new panels, but they will just even out over time. And yeah, hopefully we fixed the problem. We'll see. So for now we've just got it propped up on a couple of pieces of wood just so that the pipe goes straight into the container. We'll probably build something so that that can kind of slide in and out nicely in the future. But for now we think that'll be really good.
So this is how we leave it for the weekend. Very happy. Walls are done. We've got the seats varnished and in. Got the tops varnished and on. And also got the sinking. But yeah, very good. Lots of progress.